Hi guys, divers. Alec, Peirce, Vintage Scuba, back again with some neat stuff from the old days. Yeah, everything I have on my desk in front of me, well, almost everything is 50, 60 years old. Not everything, some of it's only 45 or 60, 50 years old, but a lot of it's older than that. And I just thought I would share a little bit more information about some vintage scuba gear. And this will illustrate, if I may, I get some questions on my comments on my YouTube video, on this video, which I appreciate. I love the comments. Keep them coming. I love them. I get a big kick out of it. I try to answer everyone. People asking about what was it like? How'd you do that? Well, how'd you know? And I don't know. At the time, it was great. When I started diving, I was 10 years old, and it was incredible. I was Mike Nelson. I was a frogman. So the fact that the lights didn't work, and the knives were dull, and the air didn't last very long, and the regs you had to suck your lungs out to get air. Oh, it didn't bother me one bit. The fins weighed 8.5 pounds each, and so on. It's the way it was. It's like before automatic cars. How'd you ever drive as standards? Easy. You push the clutch in, you change gear. So it's the same with diving a little bit. That's the way it was. Now, when I think about it today, some of the things we put up with in comparison with today's modern equipment, that's a different story. We have a video. Kevin and I have a video coming up with a brand new 2018 manufacturer 2-hose regulator, modern materials, modern technology. It's unbelievable. Called the Kraken. You'll be seeing that. You keep an eye on for that. And when I take my old the rig I was trained on, which was a U.S.Divers Mistral from the 50s, and compare and go diving with it, and then use one of the Kraken regulators, I shake my head. I said, I don't know, how did I ever do it? Well, I did it because I did it. That's the way it was. We all did it that way. Here's some old gear, a couple of old lights. I want to concentrate on lights today, and I have right here in front 2 lights that I want to share with you, okay? This is an old light. This is a rare, unique light, and it was also, it's got batteries in it too, I think. It's also unique. It's unique in several ways. It's aluminum. This is an aluminum tube, and that was quite unique because aluminum was very special back then. This was made by U.S.Divers, big company, Aqua-lung. You know them as Aqua-lung. This is called the Aqua Luxe. Relatively common light for vintage collectors. I don't mean it's not valuable. It is pretty valuable, but not an uncommon light. And it wasn't a particularly good light. It had 3 C cells in it and a little tiny bulb, and it lit up. If you were close, it would light things up. And this is an original, in perfect condition, absolutely perfect condition, works perfectly. The bulb, there's no corrosion, the bulb, the reflector, everything. Even this cheap plastic strap that came with it is still attached to it perfectly. Now, I wanted to show you that one in comparison to a much later light. This is also made by U.S.Divers, much, much later. So this is from the 50s. And this is probably, I'm going to stick my neck out and say this is probably the 70s, late 70s, or the 80s perhaps. A couple of ways you can tell it's different. First of all, this is plastic. Well, sure. Plastic by the 80s was starting to become pretty good. Plastic earlier than that was not very good. You know, when I was a kid, when someone said it's made of plastic, we wouldn't buy it. Plastic? No, I don't want that one. Give me the metal one. Today it's different. Everything's plastic. Your car is plastic. There's more plastic in your car than there is metal in your car. But, you know, when I was a kid, my first car, 56 Buick Special, there was no plastic. It was all metal. A little bit of leather. The rest was metal. And that's the way it was. Today it's entirely different. Plastics are much better now. Better, in fact, than metal in many ways. Lighter, cheaper to make, don't corrode, don't fade, all kinds of things. So this is an all plastic light. The whole body is plastic. The lens is plastic. Everything is plastic in this light. And the other thing that you can tell us the difference is that this light sold for $7.95 in 1958, and this light sold for $27 in 1978. Yeah, exactly. But that's got nothing to do with the materials or anything else. That's just regular inflation. So here's a dive light from 2 dive lights, same company. 25 years apart. As you can see, there's a substantial difference. There's also another thing I'd like to point out quickly, just to make it clear. All of these lights, and you can see here behind these 2 lights on the front, I have some big lights. It didn't matter. Big bulb, big reflector, didn't matter. They were not very good. So let me give you an example. This is a good light, and the head comes off very simply, like so. and you take this out and you dump out the batteries. There's the batteries in there, see them? You put it back in, put it back together. There's an O-ring, see that black O-ring seal there? So it's sealed, and it's a very simple, actually very effective system to make this light work. When you wanted to turn the light on, you simply screwed this down until finally, spring-loaded in there, finally the light bulb will touch the battery. Pretty good, eh? That's your light. Is it on? Maybe I should put in new batteries, maybe. They're not very good. And compare that to a modern light, a 2018. So 1958, 1978, we'll say 2018. Small, metal, forged aluminum, a lot of plastic in it and so on. And of course, yeah, a little bit brighter. But anyway, lights have changed a great deal over the years. And I'm going to show you some other ones here. Let me get this one turned off here. Now it's gone to SOS. I don't need help. But there's two lights. I'll get those out of the way. Let's take a look at these big old lights, because at one time it was considered a big light was a better light. So they made some big lights because they wanted to sell lights. So here we are. We have some big old lights here. Now I want to show you this light first of all. This light is famous. I don't know if you can see there, but this says Ikelite. Ikelite. What's the number on it? 4,000. 4,000, Ikelite 400 feet. This is good to 400 feet, and it's made by Ikelite Underwater Systems. Very, very well-known company. It's been in business making molded acrylic, I think it is. Carl will correct me on this. I think it's acrylic plastic, molded plastic products. It started out with this. This was Ikelite's first product, and it's called the company's called Ikelite for a very simple reason. The owner, the founder, the first man to make one of these lights, his name was Ike. And he made a light. That was his first product. And the light was incredibly good compared to all the other lights up until that time for dive lights. This was an incredibly good light. Excellent. And very, very popular. And soon everybody was talking about Ike's light. So he started to produce, made more and more of them, and then additional products until today. They make lights, of course, but they also produce extremely good camera housings. So if you have a camera, a good camera that you use on land, with an SLR, a big fancy one, or a little snap camera, whatever, and you want to take it underwater, then you go to Ikelite, I-K-E-L-I-T-E, Ikelite. Yeah, he doesn't spell very well, but Ikelite, and you'll be able to find a housing for your camera. That's right. And be able to take it underwater. But this was his first product, very similar to his very first product, and it was quite famous. It was also unique in a couple of ways because it used a couple of different things. Instead of using standard tubular batteries, it used one of those big square batteries, you know, the big square lantern batteries, 6-volt lantern batteries, and you dropped it inside there. And then you set this was a sealed beam from a tractor, a 6-volt sealed beam. All vehicles used to be 6-volt at one time. I'll give a little bit of history here as we go along. And so this is a sealed beam tractor light. And you know, if the bulb burned out, you would just go to your local John Deere or Massey Ferguson tractor store and buy a new bulb for your dive light. Yeah, it's true. And then you put that in. There's a big O-ring, what's an O-ring? Really a big flat rubber ring that sat in there. And you put this molded plastic orange ring on the outside, about like that, and you put it on there really nice and tight. You know, it squeezes the rubber tightly, and it had down here a little toggle switch. On, off, on, off. Simple. Lanyard tied to your wrist, and you had a pretty good dive light. Now, it still wasn't nearly as bright as my very good LED light down there. Half the size, half the weight, 6 times the cost. But it was a good light for its time. Okay, let's put that to one side. Look at a couple more here. Now I have 2 lights here that are also unique. First of all, this light's pretty old. This looks like plastic. If you take a look at it, it's not metal. It has the same type of toggle switch on top, and it uses the same type of batteries. It was 6-volt square batteries, 2 of them in here. That was pretty common at that time. Those 6-volt batteries. There's a handle screwed on the top, and it has 4 big screws in the front, and a rubber gasket, and a piece of it uses a seal beam. You can look in there, you can see the same type of seal beam. And I have no idea who made this. Maybe one of you vintage guys out there, if you have one of these dive lights, underwater lights, and you have any idea where this came from, who made it. I can't find any names or markings on it, but it's a pretty neat lantern. We call this type of lantern. Really more than a dive light, a lantern. But this is pretty typical and very old. It's unique in a couple of ways. First of all, its shape and construction is unique, but also the material is unique. It's not metal. It's not plastic. It's Bakelite. Bakelite. Bakelite, just the way it sounds. Bakelite was very, very common in the 50s and the 60s. It was very, very common, even in the early 70s. Lots of things were made of Bakelite. Some appliances, radios, very, very common for radios, stereo equipment. What else is made of Bakelite? Lighting fixtures, you know, the porcelain lighting fixtures. A lot of things that are made of plastic today were made of Bakelite. It was relatively easy to make. It was an early form of plastic, or early form of a synthetic material, and it was pretty good. It was waterproof and didn't distort. And you could, as you were making the Bakelite, you could add color, and then the color was right through the entire Bakelite. So if I cut this, the inside would be brown, so the color didn't fade, and everything else. And that's a Bakelite Light. There was a Bakelite Light. There was one problem with Bakelite. There were more than one, but there was one big problem with Bakelite. It was fragile. Yeah, if you drop this, it'll shatter into 1,000 pieces. Same with radios and all the other things made from Bakelite. If you drop them, they shatter into 100 pieces. So Bakelite is gone now, being replaced by better, more modern synthetic materials, plastics that don't break. So, but there's another neat old dive light. One more. Here's another one. Look at this one. Woo-hoo. Let's go diving. Right. This one as well. And this was made by a big company, Dacor. Dacor. Yeah, Dacor made this light. And it was pretty neat. There's like, oh, there you go, compact, right? Mini light. There's a great big, and this is plastic, not Bakelite, this is real plastic box. And you see it also uses that seal beam. That was very, very common back then. You'd take this off and put the seal beam in there with a rubber gasket. And you notice on the top, it's pretty neat. I mean, they were sort of halfway between metal and plastic, and they wanted to keep metal around because metal's good, right? But plastic is, you know, easy to make and so on. So a lot of these lights in that transition period were part plastic and part metal. This one has a lid comes off, and it has a flat rubber gasket there, flat rubber, not an O-ring, and inside you can see two of those square 6-volt lantern batteries, and you hook the wires on, and you put the lid back on, clean it up really, really well. Dacor underwater light, model P. Can't read that. P-U-L? P-U-L. Dacor Corporation, Northfield, Illinois. Yeah. Underwater light model P-U-L. Brite. Brite, it was called. You put that back in place, and you put the metal straps back on, and off you go diving. Got a great big handle on it, and I noticed it was kind of funny. Kevin noticed as well earlier, the handle's loose. It just fits on there. You could take it off if you want. I'm not sure why you'd want to. The handle fits on. It was held in place by a cotter pin at each end. A little ordinary steel cotter pin goes in and spreads a bit. So there you go, another great big old-fashioned, pretty weird dive light from the old days. Two great big batteries and a tractor sealed beam, and it wasn't very bright. One more, and then we'll quit. This is called the Brite Light. Again, made by that well-known company, U.S.Divers, popularly called Aqua-lung. And this was a big bright light. That's a joke, by the way. It's called the Brite Light. That's what it's called. Does it say that on the front? Brite Light. That's the name of it. And comes in a great big box. Boy, you get this for Christmas, you'd be really happy, huh? So a great big box. You got your Brite Light, and you open it up at Christmas time, and oh, Dad, great for scuba diving. I love it. Oh, that's wonderful. You take it out, and it comes with the instruction manual. Oh, look at that. U.S. Divers Brite Light. Flick the switch and it goes on. Flick it the other way. And instruction manual. Divers needed instructions in those days. And so that light. And the light itself. Whoa, this is impressive. Look at this thing. And this is from, I'm going to guess this is from the late 70s, early 80s. The Brite Light. Oh, yeah, look at that. And this is the big sealed beam. These are the standard 4.5-inch sealed beams. This, I think, is a 6 or 7-inch sealed beam, but it's still the sealed beam light, I'm pretty sure. Yep, sealed beam. And oh, you could open it up, you take this off, and it's got that big rubber ring in there, and a big bulb pops out like that, and down the side there's your rechargeable batteries and the rings and all that. Okay, Dad, this is great. Thank you so much. Now I'll be able to find that shipwreck. And you... like that, and like that, and that goes like that. And this particular one is rechargeable. Yes, it came with a charger, an old style of charger with the U.S.Divers Aqua-lung logo on it. You undid this and plugged into the batteries and let it sit overnight. You get your tanks filled, get your out you go with your Brite Light and start boiling water. Well, I wish I could tell you that it was really, really bright, but the Brite Light was brighter than some of the other lights, but it wasn't really a bright light compared to the modern lights today. Anyway, there you go, guys. I wanted to show you some of these old lights in my collection, and I thought you might get a kick out of them. Again, if some of you know anything about this light, there's a good picture of it there. Close up, give me a call. I'd like to have some more information. Dive lights. Vintage dive lights. Alec, Peirce, Vintage Scuba. Hope you enjoyed that. Got some neat information, and I'll talk to you soon.